Hey.
Right, we say, but we say her. Okay, good morning, good morning. So our shirim are Mukdash, Phyllis Bas, Shmuel Barut, and her neshama should have an aliyah. Oh, okay. So our learning this morning and every morning this year is Mukdash Leilui Nishma Nishmata Phyllis Bas Shmuel Barut. Okay. So we're Parshas Truma, and we are going to learn a piece of Sfas Emes. So Sfas Emes was the second Ger Rebbe. He was the grandson of the first Ger Rebbe, who was the Chidushei Harim, and he was Rebbe for a very long time. And because he was very young when he became the Rebbe. It's really hard to understand. So Bezrat Hashem, we're gonna learn some today. Okay, Sfas Emes basically always works off of the Midrash. Okay, so first we're gonna do the pasuk. Okay, the pasuk is Vayidaber Hashem. Yeah, that one's for you. Okay, Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe lemor. Right, Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, Daber el bnei Israel. Speak to bnei Israel. Vayiklu li truma. Okay, and they should take for me a truma, a donation. Me'es kol ish asher yidbenu libo. Each person according to how much they much they want to give in their hearts, essentially. Tiklu et trumati. Take from them the truma, the donation that's going to be for me. Now, this is obviously the beginning of the building of the Mishkan. Okay, there were different trumot, different donations that were given for different things. The building of the Mishkan, the yearly korbanot, the counting of the half shekel of the census. Okay, there were lots of different trumot, but this is like the introduction. This is the first aspect of the mitzvah. Okay, so but it's very strange wording. Okay. Vayiklu li truma. So this is actually like I think every year I title my shir on truma this way, but essentially, why is it vayiklu? What should it be if you're looking? Tiknu, right? Okay, tiknu li truma. Give me a truma, right? Why take for me a truma? And really, you could stop at vayiklu li, right? The whole aspect of the Mishkan, the whole aspect really of Torah in general, is the concept of Am Yisrael taking Hashem, essentially, meaning take Hashem into our hearts. Accepting, but in a way of like. But accepting is passive. Yeah, right. More active. Right. Taking, really. And that's really what the Sfas Emes is going to talk about, right? The aspect that like when we live our lives with the concept that we're with Hashem in this, we're making Hashem a part of this, then it changes really our whole life. It changes every day. It changes our relationships. It changes, right? There's like a famous vort that everybody always used to give at weddings. I don't know if they do it anymore, but like Ish and Isha, right? So Ish is Aleph Yud Shin and Isha is Aleph Shin Hey. And right so they have two letters in common and one letter different. Each one has Aleph and Shin, and the man has a Yud and the woman has a Hey. And so the aspect is that when you bring Hashem into the relationship, it's very holy. And when you take Hashem out of the relationship, it's Aish, like it could burn each person. So, so with everything, okay. So that's kind of what the Sfas Emes is going to talk about. But first, we're going to do a midrash. Right. Actually, that's what the midrash is going to say. Okay. So vayiklu li truma. Okay. Take from me a truma, or take me. Okay, and then also give. Okay, we'll explore that. Okay, so the midrash says hadahu dichtiv. It says in Mishlei, ki lekach tov natati lachem torati al ta'azovu. Okay. Yes, number 2. Okay. So obviously we sing this every Shabbos when we're putting the Torah back in the Aron, right? What? Yeah, when we read the Torah. Yeah. So what's a lekach? Yeah, what's a lekach?
A lesson.
A lesson, exactly. Right. Okay. A lekach, a takeaway. A takeaway. What's the takeaway from that shiur? What's the takeaway from that experience? Okay. The takeaway is the lesson. What did we learn from that? Okay. So essentially the pasuk means like I have given you a good takeaway. Okay. And Torati al ta'zovu, right? It's my Torah. You can type it out lots of different ways, but essentially the takeaway that I gave you is my Torah. Don't leave it. Don't abandon it, I guess. Okay, really. Okay. Al ta'azovu et hamikach shenatati lachem. Don't abandon or don't forsake. A mikach is an acquisition. Okay. So, but it's also a person who acquires the acquisition. Okay. Hebrew is, a funny language, right? A lekach is a takeaway. Okay. But lekuchot are, for example, what? Customers. Okay. Commerce. Right. Commerce. Okay. So there's this aspect of like trade, give and take, buying something, taking away something.
Because lekach, you're doing something, you're not being passive. You're taking
for sure,
something.
For sure.
You have to take it to yourself.
You have to take it to yourself, right? You have to internalize it. That's really what the lesson is. Right? Yes, this is going to be a theme. Okay.
You figured that out.
Okay. So so the mikach, okay, is also a reference to the thing that's being acquired and also the person that's acquiring. Okay. Yesh lecha adam shelokeach mikach. Okay, a person that takes the thing, the acquisition. Yesh bo. Okay, so this is a midrash. Okay, so he's giving like an example. So there's a person that comes and they buy something. Yesh bo zahav en bo kesef. But this particular thing has gold, but it doesn't have silver. Yesh bo kesef en bo zahav. There's another transaction, another acquisition that might have silver but no gold. Aval hamikach shenatati lachem yesh bo kesef. Well, I think it skips the line. Both, right? It should be both, yeah. I should say it should, and that's so funny. I cut it real directly from Safaria, but it should say Yesh bo zahav v'yesh bo kesef. It should say both. Oh no, it does say. Okay, so it says it has right. Hold on. I have to think straight. It does. It goes on. It needs to. He's giving both examples and using the midrash gives the examples with the proof text. Okay. So, but the acquisition that I gave you, it has silver, like it says in Tehillim, Imrot Hashem Amarot Tahorot Kesef Tzaruf. Okay, so these are all psukim from Tehillim, right? The sayings are pure. They're like purified silver. Ve'yesh bo zahav, and it has gold in it. Shene'emar, like it says in Tehillim, Hanechemadim mizahav mipazrav, right? The dear ones are again clarified, purified gold. Okay, so then this is the midrash. Okay, it's like a list of lots of different ideas. Yesh adam lokeach sadot avalo. Can you turn that? Avalo kramim. There's a person that takes fields, or he buys fields but not orchards. Kramim velo sadot, orchards but not fields. Aval hamikach hazeh yesh bo sadot ve'yesh bo kramim. Okay, but my mikach, right, the acquisition that I'm giving you has everything. It has fields and it has orchards. And again, there's proof texts. Okay, like it says in Shir Shirim, Shilachayayich Pardes Rimonim, right? It's like orchards of pomegranates. Yeshcha Adam Lokeach, okay? Yeshcha Adam Lokeach Mikachu Bnei Adam Einan Yodim Mahu. Then there's another example that there's a person that comes and he buys something, he doesn't actually know what's in it. Like an example that's given is like a box, but they didn't open it and they didn't even see like what's in it, right? Or the other example that's given in the midrash is like a field that has a buried treasure, right? So when you come to buy the field, you don't know that it has a buried treasure, so you pay the price of the field, right? Even though if the buried treasure was incorporated into the price would have been much higher. But this is an example of someone who buys something without knowing really what its value is. Exactly. Aval miskar hasarsur nitvada ma laka. But from the how can you tell what the value is from the like the broker, essentially, what the reward is to the broker. Based on that, you can understand what the value of what is acquired. Okay. So again, this is midrash. It's not such clear language, but the midrash is bringing out all these ideas of when we buy something, we don't always understand what it is. When we buy something, it's not always complete. But with Torah, we have like a window into what the value is, and it's complete. It contains everything. It contains orchards and fields and gold and silver. And how do we have this? Let's keep on going. Right, and with the Torah, we don't truly understand its value until we look at what the schar of Moshe Rabbeinu was. What was the schar of Moshe Rabbeinu? Shneamar Moshe lo yada ki keren or panav b'dabro ito. Okay, that Moshe's face was radiating light, and based on the fact that Moshe's face was radiating light, there was like some inkling, right, of like what this was that Moshe Rabbeinu learned Torah. And therefore it actually changed him. It changed how he looked, how he interacted with the world. It changed how they could see him. Right. So based on that, we understand that this is very powerful. I guess we could say Torah is very powerful. Okay. And then there's a last example that sometimes there's a lekach that the person that's selling it is actually sold with it, which is a funny way of saying it, but here's the example. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu leYisrael, Hashem said to Am Yisrael, Macharti lachem Torati, kivyachol nimkarti ima. That I sold you, or I gave you, okay, my Torah, you acquired it, and you acquired me with it. It's a package deal. I come with it. Shenamar vayikhu li truma. Okay, and that's what it means. That's what the Torah means when it says vayikhu li truma, that when you take me, like in giving this donation, you are actually taking me. Mashal lemelech shaya lo bat yechida. The mashal is given that there's a king with only had one daughter. Ba echad min hamalachim v'netala. Okay, and another king came and married her. And he requested from the king, like, okay, now I'm going to go back to my country, my palace, and take her with me. Amarlo, and the king said to him, this is my only daughter. Lifros mimena eini yachol. I cannot separate from her. Lomar lecha al titla eini yachol lefi shehi ishtecha. To ask you not to take her, though, I also can't do because she's your wife already. Elazot tova aseli, but do me this favor. Shekol makom she'ata holech kiton achad aseli, that everywhere where you take her, wherever you take her, make me a small bedroom. She'adur etzlachem, that I will stay with you.
This is Shmini Atzeret.
This is Adur. It's not Shmini Atzeret. Shmini Atzeret was the big party, and then the one more day that we stay together. That's not this.
No, that's not this.
No. She'eni yachol lehaniach et biti, that I cannot let go of my daughter. Okay, meaning I can't keep her from you because she's your wife, and I can't go with you because I'm the king, here. But make me a bedroom that you like anticipate me, essentially, right? And by knowing that you have that small bedroom, I'll come and I'll stay with you. Yeah, exactly. Kachamar Kadosh Baruch Hu liYisrael. This is what Hashem says to us. Natati lachem et haTorah. I gave you the Torah. Lifros himena eini yachol. I cannot lifrosh mimena eini yachol. Right? I can't separate from the Torah. Why can't Hashem separate from the Torah? Because Torah oraita v'kucha b'chu chadhen. Right? They're one. They're one. Hashem can't separate. It's like, here, take my arm. No, it's right. It's an integral part. It is Hashem. Lamar lachem al titlua eini yachol. But I don't want you not to take the Torah, right? I won't stop you from marrying the Torah, essentially. Ella b'chol makom she'atem holchim bayit echad asu li she'ador b'tocho. But rather, do me this one thing, that wherever you go, make for me a dwelling place, okay? And that's why it says shenemar asu li mikdash ve'shachanti b'tocham, which somehow got left off there, but Vasuli Mikdash, okay, and that's what this is. That's what the Mishkan is going to be, okay. It's going to be the paradigm, the example, okay, the model of how we make a specific place, and Hashem comes to dwell in it. Now, of course, famously, right? B'shachanti b'tocham. It doesn't say b'shachanti b'tocho. Right? It says betocham, meaning, and the Al Sheikh touched out famously, right? In each and every person, we have each one of us is a Mishkan Ma'at. Our homes are a Mishkan Ma'at. Our relationships are a Mishkan Ma'at, right? Wherever we make a kitur katan, kitur achad, like a little dwelling place for Hashem, so He comes and He fills it. That's Bilavi Mishkan. Yes, Bilavi Mishkan, exactly. Okay, so there were lots of things here. Okay, but essentially the last bit was really the main part, okay? But also this idea of like a customer, okay? Like we're that we're like actively taking, right? We're actively taking. We're a customer. We come and we take away with us. We come and we want the Torah, and we acquire it, and we take it with us, and we internalize it.
That's the idea of acquiring. Acquiring means you have to do some kind of an action.
Yes.
That's like that young.
Right. That's everything. It's marriage. It's it's all of the right. To make a permanent bond is like this active acquiring, ritual essentially. Okay, so let's learn the Sfas Emes. So the Sfas Emes takes the midrash and basically makes it, kind of does what we just did, which is discuss it and make it personal, okay? But we're going to see in his own words. Ki haTorah nitna liYisrael kafi hachanat kiblatam, okay? Torah is given to us according to how we prepare ourselves to receive it. We could stop there. Like we could really stop there. That's like the lesson, right? What does that mean? Torah is given to us according to how we are prepared to receive it. Right. Okay, that's like, I mean, we see that with every Chag. I think the Chagim are really like a great paradigm of this, or really in anything in life.
Shabbos
I mean,
also, as much as you prepare,
right? But Shabbos 100%. But I feel like with the Chagim, because they pass by and they don't come again for another year, you actually can feel like a loss, right? If you didn't prepare, like there have been, I'm sure, for all of us, right? For me personally, definitely when my babies were little and I was like, kind of harried off my feet, right? Like I didn't prepare spiritually. I always prepared physically, so there's something there definitely. But I often didn't have time to prepare spiritually to like learn about the Chag. And there were many Chagim that kind of just like passed by, and and it makes a huge difference when you go to a shiur before the Chag, when you learn about the Chag, when you try to connect on a soul level with the Chag.
I'm thinking physically also, if there's a Shabbat that I don't have to cook, I think the house is missing the smell of Shabbat.
Right.
It's chaser.
Yeah.
So that's physical, but it's still also
right. So, but when you can see that, then you can connect the physical to the spiritual, right? Because there could be people that are not everybody feels that way, right? And it could be true about everybody, but part of our lesson here, part of our lekach today will be that the hachana is in kind of opening your heart to that concept, right? Okay, v'zeinyan Torah Sheba'al Peh. Okay, so this is like very much connected to the concept of Torah Sheba'al Peh. Ki hakol yesh b'Torah rak l'chol adam nitan k'fi ritzono be'emet. Okay, everything's in the Torah, right? There's, you know, we could look at the youngest child who just started learning, you know, the stories of Tanakh, or, you know, Moda'ani or Aleph Bet, and you can look at, you know, the greatest tzaddikim that ever lived, and there's enough in Torah for all of them to have, according to what they what their level is and what they're ready to receive, you know, and each one is real Torah. It's emes, but it's according to each person's ratzon. How much do I want? How much of this am I willing to work at understanding? How much do I want to take on? Right? Because it's also, again, it's also not just intellectual. It's not just about understanding. It's about internalizing, right? So people have to be prepared to change their lives, or to change their outlook, or to, you know, be open to this. According to how much a person is prepared to do that, that is how much. It's like a void, right? As soon as you open a void, Hashem fills it. But the void is this, like, I want to know more. I want to do more. I want to connect to you more deeply, Hashem. I'm ready to, you know, change my life, whatever. Okay. And that comes in. Okay. Everything's in the Torah. However much we really want, that's what's given to us. וצריך לזה אמונה. לידע ברור כי כל המדרגות בקדושת התורה גבוה מעל גבוה. הכל תלוי ברצון והכנת האדם. Okay? Part of this is emuna, right? That we need to have emuna for this. We need to have emuna to understand clearly that all of the, I'm just translating first, that all of the levels and the holiness of the Torah, which is, you know, countless infinite levels of holiness, of heights, everything depends on the ratzon and the hachana, the ratzon, the desire, the willingness, the will, really, and the preparation. The preparation here doesn't mean like it means readiness, the readiness. Okay, willingness and readiness. That's what we're talking about here, to receive. There was something I was going to say. There's a Rav in he lives in Jerusalem. His name's Rav Daniel Katz. So he does like these meditations, and like during at the beginning of the war, I think even during Corona, he was doing like on these Zooms and stuff. So so his words are very powerful. He's a very like talented giver over of these concepts. And one of the things that he often says is, like, when he's doing like a group meditation, he says, like, choose to believe, choose and believe, right? And part of that is, right, so emunah, part of emunah is like, I tell myself I believe this, right? That is emunah. Like, so to have more emunah is a function of telling yourself that you have more emunah. Right, the one learning about emunah, like getting emunah means learning how to get emunah. It's like its own thing. Yeah, kind of. It kind of is. Meaning I'm gonna have emunah, and then I'm gonna have emunah. Right? That's like the idea. It's a funny thing.
Making a conscious acceptance that you want to believe, right? And you're gonna believe,
right. Right. But it's not, you know, I was giving, like, many times people will say, like, I want to learn about emunah, right? One of the ways that, you know, if you look up any book, right, how do you get emunah? By reading about how great emunah is, right? That's like, it's like a funny, you know, cycle of like, when having emunah means believing that I believe, right? On some level, believe and choose to feel that this is the truth, and that's how you have emunah.
Sounds very easy, but it's not.
Right, exactly, and that's why we always need to talk about it more and more and more, because we it's very hard to hold on to, and we need to keep on filling up our cups. Like our emunah cup has like a hole in it.
You need to be surrounded by people.
Right. Right. And that's why, like, a friend of mine once said, like, every shiur is really the same thing. It's true. Like, every shiur is really, we learn different aspects, different facets, but like, you have to keep on learning. Reinforces, it refills, right? It's and with every little bit that you like, you retain something. It changes you, like Moshe Rabbeinu, like it changed him, right? But it doesn't all happen at once, and we have to keep on working on it every step of the way. We have to keep on reinforcing our emunah. Yeah, we're going to talk about that today, maybe if we get to it. Okay, so third line down, period. Right after the period. Okay, ki b'tach b'Hashem v'aseto. Okay, so there's the pasuk in Tehillim. So on the back of your sheet, turn to the back for 1 second. Okay, there's a pasuk in Tehillim, source number 4. Right, this is a very famous pasuk. I'm sure you all know it. B'tach b'Hashem v'aseto. Okay, trust in Hashem and do good. Shechan eretz u're'eh emunah. Okay, you will shechen. Okay, so again we're b'shachanti. It's the same shechina. Right, dwell in the land or abide in the land. Ure'eh emunah means and be nourished by faith. Although Rabbi Nachman says, shechen aretz ure'eh emunah means that when you live in the land, your emunah gets nourished. You cultivate it, right? You grow emunah. It gets shepherded, right? Like ro'etzon. Okay, that living in Eretz Yisrael sort of has almost an automatic effect. And tapping into it makes it even more powerful, but it has an automatic effect of nourishing our hope, nourishing our emunah, our faith. Okay, so that's the pasuk. B'Zohar HaKadosh she'ikar habitachon. I am back. Yeah, I'm back in the Sfas Emes. Sorry, third line down, two words after last time. I didn't. I just turned over so that we could read the entire pasuk of the Tehillim. Sorry. Okay, now I remember why I brought the book because I put notes in it. Okay, so he says ayen b'Zohar HaKadosh. Okay, fine. Okay, we're not gonna look in the Zohar, although I actually did put it on your.
Yeah, you have it.
I do have it. Yeah. Yeah, I guess let's turn back to the other side. Source number 5, Zohar. Okay, I have the translation, so we're not learning Zohar in Aramaic because that's beyond. Okay. Yeah, it's in Hebrew because it's a translation from the Sulam. Okay, Leolam yeh adam zahir ba'adono. When a person is clear in his master. Okay, vayidbak libo be'emunah ha'elyona, and we like connect ourselves, or we
glue yourself.
We glue ourselves exactly with emunah, with great faith, the high faith, our faith in what's on high. Kadei sheyeh shalem im adono. So we basically use faith to say, okay, this Hashem is in charge. Hashem is our master. Because when we have faith and we're like shalem, we understand that everything is from Hashem. So then the other people in the world can't do like bad to us, which we see very much, right? When we believe that everything is from Hashem, so then we don't get like sidetracked. We don't get derouted, derailed. That's the word I'm trying to think of. Derailed from the, like what's happening right now from the nations of the world and all the things that they continuously say to us. Right now, it's actually much easier because they're so off the walls that we're like, okay, I guess you were always off the walls. I guess what you were saying to us was never true, but now we really see that it's not true. So it helps us to have more. It's a cycle, really. It helps us to have more faith in order to do that, and the more we do that, the more faith we have. Okay, and that's what he's going to say here. She'ikar habitachon hu liyot muvtach ba'avodat Hashem yisbarach. Right, the essence of bitachon, trust, is to trust in your in serving Hashem. Ki Hashem yisbarach ya'azor, because Hashem will help us. Ki kenhu, because that's who He is. Sheken eretz the ure'eh emunah, right? Like we said in the Tehillim, okay, that we live in the land and our faith gets nourished. Perush ki mikodem tzarich liyot ha'emunah la'amin ki chayes hakol me'Hashem yisbarach. Okay, so first, again, this is a cycle. Okay, it has to start somewhere, because before we have to have tzarich liyot ha'emunah la'amin. We have to have emunah in order to believe. Ki chayes hakol me Hashem yisbarach, that Hashem is actually making everything happen. Hashem gives everything a life force, an existence. And according to let's keep on reading. Ken na'asa be'emet. Okay, and according to how much we choose to believe, okay, that how clear the emunah is in our hearts, so then we actually see emet, truth. And it will the inner aspect of everything, the way that Hashem is working is in charge of everything, actually becomes revealed to us. And that's that our faith will be nourished. Because there's emet and there's emunah. Emet is translated generally as truth, and emunah is faith. Okay, so these things are integrally connected.
But emunah comes from emet.
That's exactly what he's saying. But emet comes from emunah also. Emunah comes from emet, and emet comes from emunah. Okay, the emet hu ma shenigla umifarash bechinat aspaklaria de nahora. Okay, emet is like when you see something clearly. Okay, when like you see it. Aspaklaria de nahora means like a
clear glass,
like a clear glass, right? But even more than that, it's like a almost like a word. Like a magnifying glass of clarity.
You know what I always think
clarifying
about?
glass.
I always think about when you're doing an eye test and they're doing those things to see, you know, which is clearer.
Right.
That's what I always think about when I think about
Right. It's like it's blurry, you know,
and then
like
all of a sudden
it's clear. Exactly.
Say, oh, that's it. That's it.
Right. So like a glass that helps you see clearly. That's what aspaklaria nahora means. Okay, it's clear vision. When we have clear vision, so that's the truth. That's what we're seeing as truth. We understand that's the truth of this matter. Okay, like really, you can use the war as such a a clear example, right? We know what the truth is. We know that Hamas is evil. We know that unfortunately, a very large majority of the Arab population who lives in this land actually agrees with what Hamas is saying. And, you know, the rest of the world really doesn't see that clearly. Something is blocking their ability to see that. And essentially what is blocking their ability to see emet? That they have no emunah. Right? They don't know that Hashem is running the world. They don't understand that Hashem is, that there's a unique mission that belongs to the Jewish people, that there's a unique aspect of this land. It's not just like every other land. And they don't see that clearly. When a person has emunah, all of a sudden the shades come off and they see, oh, that's actually the truth here. And the more we see the truth, the more emunah we actually have access to, and the more emunah that we can internalize, the more truth we have access to. Sounded like you wanted to say something. No? Okay.
No, and it becomes, the more the war goes on, the differences between Am Yisrael and the Goyim just they just get starker. I mean, you take the example after the outbreak of the war in the Ukraine, how everybody was rushing to take in all the refugees and give them homes, and especially Israel. You know, there was a whole issue. How many countries have taken in an Arab refugee?
None, including the countries that are right next to them.
Including Egypt, who's afraid that they're going to come and run over their country. You know, it's just mind-boggling.
Right. So we see more and more emet. That's exactly right. But only if you're already, you have to remove the shades.
You need the seed.
Exactly. You need the bit of emunah. And when you have the bit of emunah, then the glasses get cleared up. Okay, it's this cycle. Okay, the more emet you see, the more emunah you can grow. Okay, v'hu mazon v'sa'ad ha'emunah. Okay, Emet is the mazon, is the nourishment, is the food, and the sa'ad means support of emunah. Okay? V'ktiv, Vasuli mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham. Okay, Perush, so we know that, right? If you build for me a sanctuary, I will dwell amongst you. Perush mikdash al shem prisha v'havdalah. Okay, the word kodesh literally means separation. Okay, separation and distinction for a specific job. Shehashem yisparach kadosh v'nivdal mehakol. Hashem, may he be blessed, right? Is holy. What makes him holy? He's separated from everything. He's distinctive from everything. V'shachanti, who his galus kvodo yisparach, and the shechina, and I will dwell, right? That is like a revelation. So actually, these two things sound very opposite, don't they? On one hand, kadosh is like separate, and shachanti is I will dwell amongst you. Okay. Through the fact that we know that everything that Hashem, like the more we know that Hashem controls everything and that Hashem gives everything energy, so the more that becomes evident in everything that we do. Okay? And we have this aspect of something of holiness. Okay, so let's go through that for 1 second. I'm just reading the same line again. When we do things and we know that Hashem is in this thing that I'm doing, so then it actually makes a space for Hashem in the thing that I'm doing. Let's say I'm making Shabbos, right? So when I on one hand, we're very human, right? About like when we're making Shabbos, my kids are coming, we're gonna eat. They like this one likes this, that one likes that, this one's allergic to this. Okay, so there's that like very human physical aspect, right? But if we could take like 30 seconds or let's say 2% of what we're actually doing, and we remember, oh, I'm making it because it's Shabbos, and Shabbos is when Hashem's more of Hashem's presence is revealed in this world, right? And that's what makes Shabbos special. So if we could like bring that mindset also into the cooking, right? The more we do that, the more we feel His presence. That's like what we were saying before, right? So when we know that everything is from Him, we actually, that's an active, it like activates His, us feeling His presence in everything. I feel like I'm like talking in right, like circles today, yeah? Like the more we have emunah, the more we have emunah, right? But basically imagine like, as we're cooking, okay? Imagine that with every food that we make, we're also, hang on. We're also, right, so I have like this picture in my head, okay? Like with every food that we make, we're also making a container for Hashem, okay? So, but that container, like it's like it doesn't exist unless you make it.
When you make challah and you have the flour in the bowl, and then you have the eggs and you make a little well. Yes, beautiful. And then you put, right. So we're making like a well in our hearts, and then Hashem comes into it. Okay. And yeah, we could do it by saying L'Shem, Shabbos Kodesh, right? We could do it by talking to Hashem while we're cooking. We could just do it by opening our hearts to that, that concept. And I like envision that like alongside my chicken is also like a container of Hashem. Alongside my cake is also like a container of Hashem, but it's an open container because it keeps on, it's like not, it's not finite, it's infinite. So it can keep on getting filled. My mother, was very interesting. We had a chef who used to be there for Friday for Shabbat. We used to have a lot of people for Shabbat from the community, from the congregation. And my mother always was makpid, one thing she would do by herself. Mm-hmm. And I once said to her, I said, Tony's doing everything. She says, this is L'Shem Shabbos Kodesh. And she said, this is something I have to do. Right.
We make a vessel. That's exactly right. We make a vessel. That's what it is. Okay? We make a vessel, and Hashem comes and fills it with his presence. Yeah, we did that already. But al yidei zeh nitbatel kol ratzon ha'adam lekoach Hashem yisparach sheyesh b'maaseh hahu. And through doing that, we actually we cancel out our own ratzon, okay, to the ratzon of Hashem, essentially. Like, I'm not doing it for me anymore. I'm doing it for Hashem. Right. The more we do it because it's Hashem's ratzon, the more of Hashem we reveal through that act. Okay? And that's, I will dwell amongst you. It all depends on us. Okay? And that's what it says in Midrash, and that's what the Midrash is talking about, that it says that the seller goes with the acquisition, right? The more of Hashem is in every single aspect, and the more we take him with it, the more he comes into it. And essentially, when we say, I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing it for him. Right? So the more we do that, the more we actually can feel that. And then the more we connect to the inner aspect of it. Okay, let's actually skip down to nitkasheh. Okay? Yeah.
Oh, here comes.
Okay, yeah, this is your favorite thing, Becky.
Well, okay.
It is the menorah. So this is the menorah. So the menorah. So let's look at the source on the second page. Okay, the Bamidbar Rabbah, another quick midrash. Okay, everybody, we've spoken about this before, but this is the source from the midrash. Shenit Kashem, Moshe. Okay, Moshe was befuddled. Menorah, how to make the menorah. Yoter mikol klei hamishkan, more than the other utensils and items of the Mishkan. Ad sheherahu hakadosh baruch hu ba'etzba, until Hashem showed him with his finger, kavyachol. Okay, v'zeh ma'aseh hamenorah miksha zahav. This is what the Torah the wording of the Torah is, that the menorah was miksha. Okay, it was hammered out of gold. Lomar ma kasha hi la'asot, but it's like an interesting thing, because Davka Moshe Rabbeinu needs kasha, right? And it's like a little bit of a play on words, that it was hammered out, but also it was hard to make. Okay? Shaharbe Yagaba Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu tried very hard to understand, but he couldn't. There was some hard challenge that he like a blockage. Okay? Kevan Shenit Kasha, and because he was having a hard time understanding, or he was bewildered by this. Amar lo Kadosh Baruch Hu leMoshe. So Hashem said to Moshe, Tal kikar zahav hashlicho laor ve'otziehu dehi me'atzma na'aset. Okay, that throw a block of zahav, gold, into the fire, and then take it out, and it will be made of itself, essentially.
That's exactly what they did.
Right.
Threw something into the fire.
Right, and it came out a pot. Right, exactly. Okay, so it's like a tikkun. Right. Okay. Throw.
Why was it hard for him?
Because it said first of all, we don't know why it was hard for him.
It was hard for him to make it, or
so he didn't make it. Right. That's the point. He couldn't understand the directions were like, it had lots of cups and flowers and branches, right? But the directions were that it should be pounded out of one block of gold, all of that. And so the truth is, we don't understand why that was hard for Moshe Rabbeinu to understand.
Why was that harder than anything else?
Right. Why was that harder than anything else? That's exactly right. So
I understand it perfectly. Always understood. I think Moshe Rabbeinu, although in Kamo, I think he had a problem with things that were spiritual. That's why he had a problem with the Chodesh. That's why he had a problem with the Kior. That's why he had a problem when the Luchot was supposed to be built. You do the Mishkan first and the Luchot first. And the Tzalel Sadim, if you make the Luchot and you don't have a place to put it, what's the point?
In other words, something that was intangible was hard for him to do.
But this is not intangible; it's tangible, totally
but
tangible.
It was something he had to imagine. He couldn't do that.
I don't think so, because there were other things that he like.
I think it's also it sets a precedent of a sport that when we learn, you take one step and then Hashem opens up. Or Hashem will complete it for you. You don't have to do the whole thing. You have to take one step, and Hashem.
That's exactly what the Sfas Emes says. Exactly. Okay. So fine. So the Bamidbar Rabbah. So we'll learn it in the Sfas Emes. But you're exactly right. Okay. Basically, I brought the whole Bamidbar. I brought the whole Midrash because of the word te'aseh. Okay. The Torah says the me'atzma te'aseh, that the menorah will be made. Okay. And te'aseh is like is passive, okay? It will be made, not you make it this way, but it will be made. And essentially the story that's how it's told in the Midrash is that Moshe Rabbeinu threw this block of gold into the fire and out came the menorah, okay? And whatever his trouble was, there's lots and lots of deep Torah about why he had trouble and what the trouble was. But essentially, for all intents and purposes, what's important to us is that he wanted to know how is it made, and Hashem made it possible that it was made by itself. That's okay. So let's go into the Sfas Emes.
He gave up on the fact that he didn't understand.
No, he didn't give up on it. He's teaching us a lesson. Okay, so go back to the Sfas Emes, the paragraph that starts Nitkashem. Okay, it's like the last paragraph on the front page. Nitkashem Moshe b'menorah v'her'eh Hashem yisbarach. Okay, that's the midrash that we just read. Okay, Hashem showed him. And afterwards it says that the menorah was made by itself. Te'aseh, it was made, or it will be made. Okay, why? It's like a funny thing. If the menorah was going to make itself, why did Hashem even show Moshe Rabbeinu what it's supposed to look like? Right? If he didn't need to do any of the work, then why, here's the menorah? No. First, Hashem gave him all these instructions. Make it this way, make it that way. This is what it needs to look like. Okay. And then, okay.
He had to make an effort.
He had to make an effort. How you say? Yeah, I'm going to read it from the book. Okay. Okay. Ach ki al yidei ratzon ha'adam balev v'nefesh be'emet nigmar hasha'ar. Okay, and that's really the main thing. Okay, through the ratzon is the key word today. Okay, through the ratzon through our will, ha'adam balev v'nefesh be'emet, through the will of our heart, our soul, the true will, nigmar hasha'ar. The rest will be completed. Hasha'ar, the rest. Yeah, sorry, not sha'ar like the gate, but sha'ar, the rest. Ma she'eno yichol la'asot na'aseh me'atzmo. Okay, what we can't do, it will be done. Okay, or he will do. Hashem will do from himself. V'zeh ma she'amru hashlech la'or, and that's why the Midrash tells us that Hashem said, throw it into the fire and it will be made. Ken hu b'chol mitzvah mikol ish Yisrael. That's how it is actually with every mitzvah and with every person, with every Jew. Ki vadai en b'koach adam lasot ritzono yisbarach. Because truthfully, we actually have no ability to do Hashem's will. We are finite beings. How is it possible for us to, accomplish Hashem's will? Right? Like if you think about a mitzvah, okay, we have a physical act that is connected to every mitzvah, okay? And that's actually a kindness from Hashem, that we have a physical act that's connected to a mitzvah. Because we as much, and it's like, let's take a lulav and esrog, for example, right? When we shake a lulav and esrog. So on one hand, we have this physical act of shaking the lulav and esrog. And in that dimension, that's a complete action, right? Once we start to learn what actually the mitzvah of shaking the lulav and esrog is about, it's endless, absolutely endless. Okay, there's so much depth, so it's impossible for us to do the action with all of the ritzon of Hashem that's going to happen in that action, because it's endless, right? It's infinite. Hashem, what is accomplished by a mitzvah on a deeper level, in a spiritual sense, is we learn little bits and pieces, but ultimately it's, we can't, it's impossible, because it's connected to the infinite source of everything. And it's impossible to get to the bottom of the infinite source or the top of the infinite source, right? So what happens, right? We don't have the power to fully accomplish this. But when we have a will, so Hashem completes the action for us. Hashem makes it so that what is supposed to be accomplished in this world through that mitzvah gets accomplished. That's a kindness from Hashem. Okay, and also with everything that we do, right? Meaning on a spiritual level, obviously, you can't say like, I'm going to paint the room, and then I start painting the room, and then Hashem paints the rest of the room for me. That's not how it works, But on a spiritual level, when I want to understand something, and it doesn't happen right away, right? But the idea is here that we put in our effort, and Hashem, kind of meets us halfway. And that's what we learned from this aspect with Moshe Rabbeinu, that Moshe Rabbeinu tried to understand, Hashem showed him, Moshe Rabbeinu tried again to understand, and ultimately the menorah was made by itself.
But this cannot be absolute, because everybody has their own ratzon, and their ratzon is also built on where they are spiritually. They're not going to get to the same place. It's not like
it doesn't say that they're going to get to the same place. No one says everyone's going to get to the same place.
But you can't say that you're going to get to an absolute.
I never said, no one's saying that. But what we're saying is that Hashem, right, what we can grasp in our minds of what we're accomplishing in a mitzvah is whatever level Hashem enables us to understand, okay? But what we actually accomplish by the mitzvah is much, much greater than that, because it's really Hashem that's lashliming it. But we don't really see that from our side. That happens from his side. You understand what I'm saying? Completing. Sorry. Making it shalem. Yeah, lashliming. Sorry. There's some words in Hebrew that don't translate well. And so I Englishize the Hebrew verb.
Even the same person can be on a different level. I remember during Corona when I went to school, I went outside the school, right? And all of a sudden I saw the way the sukkah was, the sukkah was built. I wouldn't have understood that if I hadn't learned Masechet Sukkah. I wouldn't know what they were talking about.
Right.
Okay. So my understanding of that particular Masechet sort of guided me that whole Sukkot to look at Sukkot.
Right. Of course. You don't know. Of course you do. Of course. That's the point.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying.
Right. Meaning when you were 3 and you did a mitzvah, you had a very different understanding of what that mitzvah was than you do now. For sure. Each person, and that's exactly what he's saying. Each person, that was what the first piece was, right? Each person according to their ratzon.
But it doesn't mean that when you did it as a 10-year-old or something, it had less value than when you're doing it today.
Exactly. Because Hashem Exactly. Okay, like let's say if we're going to do like percentages, right? So a child, let's say, does like 10% or understands 10%, okay? But and again, this is infinite, so this is like, right? But let's say 100% is like, that's a complete act, okay? A kid understands 10%, and then Hashem essentially brings into the world the other 90% that we can't bring into the world with our understanding.
But that 10-year-old can do 100%.
No one can do 100%.
Okay, 90, whatever.
No one can do 100% because 100% is a bad way of saying it, because it's infinite. So 100%, so complete is the best way of saying it. None of us can do something completely because we don't understand all of the ritzonot that go into it. We don't understand all of the kavanot. We don't understand everything that comes out of it, okay? But what he's saying here is that a person does as much as they can, and then Hashem completes the rest. Whatever that person's can is, at what age they are, at what stage they are, at how much they, right? But Hashem completes it for all of us. So the percentage at which Hashem is completing, changes with however much the person is able to do. So Moshe Rabbeinu obviously, is Moshe Rabbeinu, and still Hashem completed it for him. but he says something so beautiful, and this is what we'll finish with. Okay, go to where it says. I'm going to tell you in 1 second. Okay, on the second side of the page, okay, go to where it says Ke'inyan Zeh Perush. Okay, it's the second line on the second side. Ke'inyan Zeh Perush, right? That's Ke'inyan Zeh Perush. Adonenu Avi Zikeni Mori Rabbi Zecher Tzadik Livracha Lachai Haolam Haba. That's the Chidushei Harim. Okay, whenever he says that, it's his grandfather, the Chidushei Harim, the first Ger Rebbe. Okay, so he says Alma. So this is according to what his grandfather said. Alma Shekatu Yagati Umatzati. Okay, that's a famous right. Yagati Umatzati Ta'amin. So I work, right. The rest of the pasuk is like we say like Lo Yagati Umatzati Al Ta'amin. If someone says I didn't work but I found, don't believe them. Yagati velo matzati al ta'amin. I worked, but I didn't find. Don't believe him. Yagati umatzati ta'amin. Okay, I worked and I found. Believe. It's in Pirkei Avot. Okay, so the Chidushei Harim says about this something very interesting. He says, "V'dikdek ma ki metzia behesach hadas." Right, a metzia is something that you find. Okay, so Uma Sheba al Yedei Yegia Lama Nikra Metzia. Why would Chazal say I worked hard and then I found? Right? It's like I worked hard at something and then I found it. It's like two different lashonot, right? Finding something is like I walked down the street and I found a coin, right? Not I worked really hard and then I found. Okay, so what? But according to this idea. Okay, who can really find the emet through their hard work? How do you find the truth through your hard work? It's really from Hashem. And that's why he's saying that it's called a metzia. It's called something found because it's like a gift from Hashem that comes as a result of your hard work. Okay, it's like you work really, really hard at something, and then the finishing, if it comes to fruition, that's up to Hashem. So let's give an example, right? Let's say you work really, really hard at preparing for a job interview. Okay, getting the job is from Hashem, right? But you worked really hard to get to this stage, and then the rest of it is kind of like in the hands of Hashem. You work really, really hard to prepare for a presentation, and then there's a massive snowstorm and nobody can come to the presentation. So that's also from Hashem, right? So it works both ways, meaning it's not always going to be, it's not always in our mind, it doesn't always like look like it's success. Doesn't always mean, but it's always for our best. Right? That's the idea. So however what we're responsible for is the hard work at the beginning. How it turns out is up to Hashem. Even if no one, even if in that particular case, like I worked really hard at a presentation and no one showed up. So we're gonna say that like I was changed through working really, really hard at that presentation, or someday I'm gonna give that presentation, or there's something that came out of it, but how it ended up, that there was a huge snowstorm, totally out of my hands.
The purpose of the whole thing was not to do the presentation, but for what he got out of it.
Exactly. Okay, so that it's like a different concept. Is like you work at your end, right? You work at your end. You make the vessel. You want to connect to Hashem, and Hashem will do the rest. Hashem is responsible for Vishachanti, right? No. I'm ending. I'm just gonna give us a bracha. So, and may we all be blessed that all the efforts that we undertake this week, that when we do them because they're Hashem's ratzon, or when we think about that, that through this effort I'm bringing Hashem into this world. So already we've won, but and already we like get this like new level of clarity and connection. But on top of that, there's like the next stage, which is that we can also then let go of, how it turns out, or how it, how big it is in the world, because that part is really up to Hashem.
I'm gonna run to the water. Okay, your turn.
Run so you can walk.
I have somebody coming in 5 minutes to my house.